So why do scenario planning? What are the outcomes? Well, once you've done the deep dive and the research, you can start to see what are the opportunities for your business. All that input starts to have a very creative output, if you like, in terms of how the business can then take those ideas that they've agreed on and the opportunities they've seen and implement them into strategies in the business.
I think humans are pretty good at dealing with solving problems like that, but it's the uncertainty of figuring out actually which world you're going into, which we're not that good at dealing with.
Structuring things into that way, with you have the different worlds and you think about them that way, kind of allows you to turn what seems like is something that's impossible to predict into something that is kind of not predictable, but at least a little bit easier to think about the possible outcomes.
It's daunting to face some of these issues that you don't have necessarily a solution to when you first start thinking about them, but at least going through this allows you to plan as much as you possibly can for those slow moving targets.
We'd already been on this journey of trying to really professionalise our processes and the standards within the business. Ironically, what we did is we sort of paused all that whilst we looked at scenario planning, but it really reinforced us, regardless of where we end up here, that it's just critically important we get that right.
It was a huge piece of work, but I think for me the takeout is it's so important to lift yourself above the day-to-day and take a helicopter view or a strategic view on things.
I've always been someone that really dislikes the idea of you put all that work into something, you produce a document, and then it goes away in a folder somewhere and is never re-emerges, is never dusted down and looked at. So each board paper, every 3 months, we revisit it.
And I think it probably hammered home to me the importance of us having a number of different business lines. So, you know, whilst I've still got general confidence in the Australian housing market, you know, there's certain market segments that are more risky than others, and you know, we've not done a preferred equity or mezzanine finance piece this year, but we've done a lot of first mortgage, and I think that given the risks that are out there, that's been a conscious decision. But we're also in an environment right now which is quite well suited to a lot of income producing assets as an equity investor. I also look after our business line with respect to biodiversity investment, and so we've increased our focus on that sector as well, just to diversify into something you know, completely separate to property that really gets a boost through infrastructure. Yeah, looking for those ways to diversify made sense.
If you're stuck in your own headspace, you'll only ever have your own view. And so it's important, really important, I think, in times like that, where to take on other people's views. And so from a scenario planning perspective, when you force people to think about other potential futures, not just the one that you may be thinking in your head, it broadens your perspective, it allows you to make more rational decisions.
For us, the key priorities were actually that we had to bolster the team, which was surprising. Because like a lot of businesses going into it, preserving the team was the key objective. But what we realised is that we're kind of already stretched in a few areas, and regardless of which world we entered, we're just going to be busier.
There's never really been an event such as the pandemic that's occurred in the time I've been working at Dorado, and seeing the way that they responded to that with a very strategic, straightforward, logical approach in order to work out what was going on and to make some plans accordingly was just, yeah, really great to see.
I was really encouraged by the level of research that was done and the depth of it by the people that were tasked with doing that sort of deep research. But on the day itself, the energy was incredible.
These scenario planning processes take a lot of effort, and they take a lot of effort from the whole team. So there's a bit of, you know, you go into them feeling quite daunted about what it means, and there's always the nervousness, you know, in this case, given the background of the pandemic, there was a lot of nervousness anyway in people's lives about what was going to happen. And I think the stress involved with embarking on it. But the results you know, for us, I think spoke for themselves.
So I think one of the big benefits of it is people then be comfortable with, well, we're not certain of what the outcomes are, but we've considered a number of them and how we might respond to them. So then you have there's a kind of mental preparedness for what might lie ahead.